All right, welcome in, Buck fans. It is finally here. All the hype, all the mock drafts, all the lying and shit talking, excuse my language, by general managers and personnel people and Peter Blake and everybody in between. Welcome to the No Quarter Given Bucs Draft Week edition. We're going to do a little free agency recap. It is draft week here in the National Football League. I am your host, Jason, along with Peter Blake. How you doing, Peter?
I'm doing great. I couldn't believe you dropped that S word there.
Right.
That's pretty strong. You're getting ready for draft day as we're only a couple days away from the real deal, and yeah, lots of hype right now.
Yep. Again, hope your off season has gone well, Peter. I know you. I've been keeping up. You've been doing a lot. I know you're doing a little draft show on Thursday night on your the sports web. So definitely check that out. Buck fans, the Bucks are going to have their draft party at Raymond James Stadium. Um, Go to Buccaneers.com. Not sure if you need a ticket to get in, or if you can just show up. I know there's like a VIP section for people, maybe for season ticket holders, but I believe it's a free party. Typically, it's been complimented. I don't know if you have to have a ticket, but go
Fifteen
check out
dollars.
what.
$15
Okay, there you go, Peter
here
Blake.
this
But go
year.
to Buccaneers.com for all the details of all that stuff. When the gates open, remember the Bucks are picking 26. The draft starts, I believe, at 8 o'clock Eastern time up in Detroit Rock City. It'd be interesting to see what the setup is up there, how they do that. By the way, when are the Bucks ever going to be in the mix to host one of these drafts with the beautiful weather? You got the Channel Side, you got Midtown, you got maybe Raymond James. When are the Bucks going to get in the mix, Peter Blake?
I have no idea. Why aren't they in the mix at this point? Detroit? That's because of Eminem? I mean, is that what we're expecting? Eminem? Is Eminem going to come out and hug Roger Goodell and then throw him down or something like that? I mean, what are they going to do? Is there going to be drama? You've already seen the commercials. Yeah, I don't understand why Tampa Bay isn't in the mix all the time for the draft or Super Bowls. Just make it permanently here. Super
Wow.
Bowls permanently, Pro Bowl permanently, WrestleMania permanently. I'm just saying, how can you go wrong? How can you go wrong with this weather right now? It's beautiful out.
It is beautiful. If you're not in the Tampa Bay area listening to us, been a beautiful last few days,
Yeah.
and more to come. More to come as the weather gets better. All right, let's do a little recap of free agency before we get to our little draft analysis here. Some big moves by the Buccaneers. Obviously, if you haven't been keeping up, and I know most of you probably have, obviously the Bucs franchise, Antoine Winfield, still no resolution there. I don't think he signed his franchise tender yet. They've not negotiated a long-term deal. I think they probably want to do that at some point before training camp, but that hasn't happened yet. Obviously, Mike Evans back in the mix. 2 years, what, $50 million? 2 years for 50. Obviously, in Baker Mayfield, 3 years for about 75, which is really a 2 year, 52 or $55 million deal, is about what that number is. Chase McLaughlin's back. William Golston's back. They bring in Randy Gregory on the addition side. Just give me a quick thought on the addition side of the ledger here with the Buccaneers.
Well, I'm not surprised they brought everybody back because I had faith that Jason Light and this administration will be able to do that, especially with Baker and Mike Evans. And, all the rumors were before the process that Evans was going to explore free agency, possibly Houston and Kansas City. But at the end of the day, his heart told him, or his wife told him. So thank you to his wife for convincing him, hey, we need to stay in Tampa Bay. So they got the deal done. Baker gets the deal done. You bring back Levante David. You bring in Randy Gregory. I mean, it's a win-win situation. And I got an opportunity to talk to Jason Light, and I said, when's that boat parade going to happen? Jason Powers, and he
That was
said,
your question. I heard that in the press conference. That was Peter Blake's question.
that was my question.
Attaboy.
Absolutely. I'm proud of that. My first question representing the JP Peterson show, which, by the way, I was featured in the current there, smiling from ear to ear because what's better than covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Than that. And you get a chance to cover the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, talk to Baker, talk to Jason. Jason corrected me. He said, I thought what I said was when I re-signed Antoine Winfield Jr. and Tristan Wirfs, then we'll have a boat parade. And then proceeded to laugh and say, but I'll be on a boat on Friday. So I feel like, foreshadowing things to come here. They're going to get these deals. Trust in Light and trust in this administration because they know, once again, what the hell they're doing, and they have absolutely knocked it out of the park. And I don't care what the talking heads said. The talking heads last year said this team was a 3 or 4 win team. Now they brought back all their free agents. They haven't improved. Hogwash. This team has gotten better because they added their players back, and then furthermore got some new blood in here in a Randy Gregory, which
And
I'm
two
happy
guys
about.
that I don't want, I can't believe I forgot these guys. Two more critical guys, Levante David back,
Yes.
and they bring back Jordan Whitehead from the Jets at
Yes.
safety, who we
Yeah.
knew who left a couple of years ago when he was a ascending player, had 2 good years with the Jets. Great move to bring him back to fortify that strong safety position next to Winfield. So 2 more guys that I left out. Great moves there. Both those guys will be starters.
Yeah, Whitehead definitely solidifies that position, right? I mean, he knows Todd Bowles' defense. He can get real creative. You feel a lot better with him back there than a Ryan Neal. So I'm happy about that. And Levante David, still the best linebacker on your team. You had to re-sign him. He got a raise. He deserved a raise. He had an opportunity to go possibly to the San Francisco 49ers. Years past, had an opportunity to go to the Buffalo Bills. But once again, his heart is with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So you got to love it.
And to your point, I think a critical measure here for guys like Evans, David, Golston, even a McLaughlin, the Bucs have shown they're able to develop young players. And they've been competitive. It's not like we were 6-10 last year. You saw the development of all the young guys. We played a bunch of young guys last year, and they won games. So I think that was a key factor in the decision for Evans and Golston and David for sure to come back. And same with Whitehead. I think Whitehead didn't want to leave 2 years ago, but the Bucs weren't in a position to be able to pay him, and he had to go get a payday in New York, and he performed well. Now they're able to pay him a little bit coming back. So I think great move for Jordan Whitehead in that Todd Bowles defense.
I agree. I completely agree. And it's also, the relationship with the organization and the loyalty. I definitely think that plays a part in it. And it's also, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Yeah, Whitehead got a lot of green from the Jets, but it didn't necessarily work out in his favor. Baker could have gone somewhere else and got more money, but who knows if
No, I don't think he could have.
I think he could.
I think he got all he was going to get. And again, I love that Jason Light didn't sell their soul from a amount per year as well as years. You're only committed to 2 years of this, basically. You're not stuck where if he doesn't have a good year, if he goes back to old Baker or bad Baker, you're stuck for 3 or 4 years, and you're not paying $40 million a year like the Giants are for a guy like Daniel Jones.
Agree. And I will say that, Light said in the press conference on a 1 to 10 prick scale, he's definitely a 10 and, represents that locker room. And you had to appreciate that. And Baker's like, thank you very much. I mean, these guys, they work together. It's just a great relationship.
Yep.
And I think what, again, played a big part in it is that the Bucs, look, they gave him a 1-year contract to prove it. They believed in him.
Yep.
Baker rewarded them, and it's a good. Now we'll see if it works out. We'll see if he can be consistent because you're exactly right. He hasn't been able to put those consistent years together. But I'm definitely excited about one of the additions I don't think you mentioned yet. That's a new offensive coordinator to Liam Cohen.
That was next on the list. Give me a little background on Liam. He comes over from Kentucky. He had been with the Rams with McVay, so he's in that McVay tree a little bit. Was the OC at Kentucky with Will Levis he's been with Will Levis. They've had some decent years. Young guy, obviously Dave Canales gets the head job in Carolina. I like the move, the kind of the McVay play action, run game, focus on the run game. So again, I like that move. I think it's going to be, and he brought some assistants with him as well to help with the installation of that new offense. Your thoughts, Liam Cohen?
I mean, it's a good move because he's not going to have to learn how to call plays in the National Football League. Love Dave Canales. Wish him luck with the Panthers and the new head coach. But there was a transition process last year, and that kind of hurt this team because they started out slow. I think they hit the ground running, and I think the happiest guy in that locker room is not just Mike Evans, it's Chris Godwin. He's going to play him at his natural position. And you saw what Cooper Kupp could do in that Rams offense. Very similar offense to Dave Canales. So the terminology is a little different. There may be, again, some learning curve there, but I think they're going to hit the ground running. And this offense may be a lot better than they were last year.
And remember, Cohen was the quarterback's coach when Baker played for the Rams 2 years ago for that 7 or 8 game run there at the end of the year when Baker got picked. Remember, he got cut on a Tuesday and played Thursday night on that Thursday night game for the Rams. And Cohen, I'm sure, was very instrumental in getting him up to speed and coaching him day to day as the quarterback coach. So there's already an existing relationship with Baker. And I think that had a lot to do with Liam Cohen being the OC here.
Did you see their embrace? It was like me and you. When we
Yeah.
embraced, we're watching wrestling or we're eating wings together. It was like me, you, and TJ out there. We were embracing each other. It's like they knew each other. And then on top of it, the report was they consulted Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
And they cared about it. And that's important. So when they got him, and then remember, he also worked with Ray Davis last year. Pretty damn good, talented running back. That's the Florida Gators. He ran roughshod on them. And the first half, I think like 180 yards. And who knows, maybe he could be a guy they look at in the later rounds, to give Rachaad White a little bit of a breather there. So I'm excited about the moves that they made throughout the offseason, especially with Cohen, his excitement. You could see at the press conference, he was getting ready for it and getting asked all these questions. He had Todd Bowles there. I mean, press conference wasn't just Baker and Jason Light. It was Todd Bowles. It was I mean, so many people to talk to you. Tristan Wirfs in the background there. Just got to get you out there, tag team partner of the world, Jason Powers.
I mean, can you get me a pass, please?
I've got to get you a pass. We got to get a pass.
All right. Speaking of additions, we also have to congratulate Baker and Tristan Wirfs. Their first child has come into the world for both of them, and you saw a little Masters Sunday Twitter photo with those two guys doing the daddy duty there, watching the Masters. So congratulations to those guys for the new additions to the family as well.
When are you going to have some new additions to your family?
You never know, man. I mean, I might have some new additions. I might have some new additions, just maybe not on the child department.
I can tell you right now, I got no new additions, and the only new addition I got is probably what's playing on my stereo there on my CD player.
Did you change the GPS to get it off of Dale Mabry?
Oh, man.
Change the straight to Dale Mabry, man.
I need you as my chaperone, dude, because my back has been hurting, so I haven't been able to get down there. I've been working all the time. If I'm not doing shows, I'm in my car like 12 hours a day delivering food to people down in Del Mabry, by the way. So,
all right, let's get to the negative side of free agency. The guys we've lost, the notable names.
Negative.
Well, I mean, there's three guys. There's three notable guys we'll discuss. How about Carlton Davis getting traded to Detroit? Shaq Barrett gets released in kind of a salary cap move. He ends up signing with the Miami Dolphins. And then you got Devin White, who doesn't get re-signed. That was kind of the writing on the wall there the last half of the year there. He signs up in Philadelphia to a one-year deal. Just a thought or two about those three guys. And, obviously I think the Buccaneers are going to rely on KJ Britt to kind of fill that Devin White spot. The Carlton Davis job, we don't know who's going to be in that. Maybe Zion McCollum, maybe is the leader in the clubhouse to start with. And then you got Shaq Barrett. I think that's going to be a Randy Gregory opportunity, a Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, kind of a rotational thing there. So we'll see how that goes. Just your thoughts on those three losses.
Well, goodbye to Devin White and the horse you rode in on with your comments about Philly being a better team, which, by the way, he must have not looked at the scoreboard. He must have been lost in the sauce, which he was for the majority of the year. He even said that he forgot about the year. Well, consequently, Bucs fans did too, with how terrible you played after, of course, the Bucs pasted the Philadelphia Eagles 32-9. But that's neither here nor there. Good luck to him with all those missed tackles. Carlton Davis couldn't stay healthy. I love Davis and the gravedigger mentality. He just could not stay on the field. You had a high cap hit there.
And it provided some salary cap relief, a little bit of relief to be able to sign a couple of these other guys that from a depth perspective you needed. And you're right. There was a lot of money tied up at the cornerback spot. And obviously the Bucs had to probably make a decision between him and Jamel Dean, which one you wanted to keep. And, so it's a good move for Carlton. He's going to be needed in Detroit. He's going to be valued up there. They need cornerback help. So I think it's a win-win. The Bucs get a third-round draft pick for him in return, as well as a little salary cap relief too. So I think it's a win-win for both teams.
I mean, you look at what Jason Light did in getting that third-round pick. I mean, what did the Kansas City Chiefs get for Snead? What was it, like a fourth or fifth next year, something along the line? So They absolutely robbed the Lions.
I wouldn't say no, they didn't rob them because the Bucks are teams nowadays are willing to get Detroit, for example. They obviously had to be in a position to absorb the salary cap
Right.
situation for Davis, which they did. I think it's a fair trade. I don't think anybody
Well,
got
would we
robbed.
agree that Snead was a better corner last year, and Kansas City got less for
Yeah,
him?
but they had to sign. But Tennessee had to sign Snead for a ton of money in addition to giving up the pick. So that's why they give up less on the draft capital because they have to take the huge hit to sign them. So that's part of it.
Fair point. Fair point.
Part of
But
it.
still,
All
good
right,
deal. And then you get rid of Shaq Barrett, which look, he
a
wasn't supposed.
salary cap deal too. That's
Yeah,
a salary cap deal.
I love Shaq Barrett. I love the whole story, signing for the 1 year deal.
Yep.
You didn't know what to expect. He comes out, flashes 19 and a half sacks, was never that same player, whether it was injury, whether it was the focus on him. But it's a
Remember the
great story.
Achilles. He had the Achilles 2 years ago.
Yep.
And again, he's 31, 32 years old. He did a hell of a job for the Buccaneers for that 4 or 5 year run had with the Bucks. Again, a value signing for Light. Remember, we signed him for a 1 year deal out of Denver. Nobody had ever heard of Shaq Barrett. So give the scouting department credit. Give Shaq Barrett credit. When he got his opportunity, he delivered.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. It was a major, major focus on that 2020 Super Bowl there,
Yep.
getting after it and getting after all the quarterbacks. So absolutely going to miss him. Going to miss Carlton Davis. Devin White, not so much. No.
Yeah, I mean, again, it was tough to see Devin go only because he could have been a Buccaneer a couple years ago had he wanted to sign the extension. I
Right.
think the Buccaneers wanted to keep him long term, but he wasn't going to get anywhere near. Remember Roquan Smith money he wanted. That was kind of his target number. And the first 2 years in the league, he had a great run to start that Super Bowl team, the 2020 team, obviously with COVID. He was the centerpiece, play caller, first round pick. And if you're a Bucks, you don't want to let the fifth overall pick go, but financially you have to weigh the pros and cons of the salary versus the production. And he kind of plateaued after that third year of his contract. He really didn't show a ton of improvement. We thought maybe last year he'd showed some signs, and then it kind of went back down to the I think in KJ Britt showed he could play. That's another part of the equation. If KJ Britt hadn't shown he couldn't play, maybe there's a different decision the Bucks make. Who knows?
Well, isn't it an indictment on White because he only gets what $4.5 million from the Eagles? I mean, it's 7.5, but that's incentive. So there was
Right.
no other NFL team out there willing to pay White. And what we heard is he wanted 18 to 20 million dollars. So let me get this straight: the Bucks did not even want to pay him $4 to $4.5 million. They would rather go with KJ Britt. That tells you everything you need to know about how his game regressed from the Super Bowl on.
And again, I hope it's a good start for Devin. Hope he has another good, again, different defense. I think they're more of a 4-3 defense in Philadelphia, I believe. I know they have some new coordinators coming in, so I'm not sure. I think they're still a 4-3 defense. So maybe it's a little bit different defense for him as far as responsibilities and all that stuff, and we'll see. So
Yeah, we'll see.
thanks, Devin, for he was a big part of the Super Bowl team, so you got to give him credit for that.
No, I absolutely give him credit for that, but I think the expectation was that he was going to build off of that, that
Yep.
the momentum was going to come off of that game, especially the Saints game, and he was never able to duplicate that. And then furthermore, the effort just wasn't there. I don't necessarily think it was injury. I think it was also effort. He just didn't want to be here anymore, and you could see that.
Yep. So, all right. So those are your additions and losses from free agency. So I think the Bucks did again excellent job of bringing back the guys they wanted to bring back of their own. We still have a couple of lingering guys free agency wise, but again, I think the guys we all wanted to see as fans, the big players, Winfield, Evans, Mayfield, and even a guy like Levante, they're all back in the mix, which is a great thing for the Buccaneers. All right, let's turn our attention to the draft here, Peter Blake. Bucks have the 26th overall pick. They've got a 2. They've got 2 threes, a 4, no 5th round pick, and a 6 and a 7. So you got 7 picks, but 2 threes, no 5. So the Bucks are picking at 26 in the draft. Just give me before we get to players and all that. Give me a couple of position needs that you see that the Bucks, if you're being objective, have some need as far as whether it's depth or a starter. Give me a couple position groups you think that they could use some help.
Who's your edge rusher? You get rid of Shaq Barrett. I mean, you bring in Randy Gregory, 4 teams in 4 years. Is that guy going to really inspire you to think you're not going to draft? So to me, edge rusher with this defense is a big part of that. Of course, interior line, left guard. I get it. You went out there. You
Center.
yeah, center's a possibility. So left guard, center, depending there. You could also go corner. Are you happy with Jamel Dean because he hasn't been able to stay healthy? Also consistently. Zion McCollum, you're not sure. So could you address that? I think those are the positions you go, and possibly wide receivers. Crazy as this
Yep.
sounds, Mike Evans is getting up there in age. He's still playing at a high level.
Yep.
Chris Godwin is coming into his last year with that big time cap hit. So maybe you go and get a little bit younger. I get it. You have Trey Palmer and Devin
Speed. You
Thomas.
need some speed.
Speed, greasy speed there, Mickey from Rocky. Absolutely. You're correct about that. Trey Palmer, very inconsistent. Could you go out there and possibly get a wide receiver, maybe in the first or second round? Absolutely, because there is a plethora of wide receiving talent in this draft coming up.
I'm with you on the corner. You can never have enough corners, and the Bucs will definitely be drafting a corner. I would say in the first 3 rounds, at least one of those 3 picks or 4 picks in the first 3 rounds will be a corner because you can't never have enough. It's a very deep wide receiver class. You can probably get a really good player in the second or third round. That can be a major contributor for you. A guy like Ricky Pearsall out of Florida is a couple names. You got a lot of the Bucs need speed, another speed guy because we know Godwin and Evans are not burners. We know Trey Palmer can run, but again, you can't ever have enough speed. And I'll throw this one out there: is quarterback a need?
Well, I mean,
Kyle Trask going into the last year of his rookie deal. You don't have anything behind him. Do you draft the guy to compete with Kyle Trask? Do you draft a guy potentially in the second or third round that if Baker doesn't show it another year, that you potentially, I'm just saying.
Michael Penix Jr. possibly if he gets. I don't think he does, but let's say he does.
Yep.
Is that a possibility? How about a Jordan Travis, our guy
Right.
there, Florida State? Could be a later round. I mean, could you imagine Bucs fans going absolutely nuts? I mean, they
A
went
Spencer Rattler kind of guy from South Carolina.
There you go. Absolutely. You could go all those directions at the end of the day. They have some quarterbacks, and I just think it depends on, how much you believe in Trask. And once again, I just feel like the organization has kind of told you where they stand with Trask, because if he were the future, you wouldn't have to need Baker Mayfield. You would have got him starts. We've been
Well,
down
again, but you still have to have a veteran guy, and Trask is familiar with obviously with the organization. If something happened to Mayfield, you can't go with a rookie. So Trask has some value even in this last year. Even though he hasn't played really, he knows the coaching staff. They know him. So again, he's an insurance policy in case he has to play.
Very true.
But you do need a third guy. You need a third guy on the roster. Again, I don't. John, what's his name? What's the guy's name from the Rams?
I'm trying to think of what his name is.
Not Munford, but something. Wolford.
Yes,
He
Wolford.
ain't. Yeah. He.
You're
If
not
you
a
can
John
find,
Wolford fan?
not as a third. If he was the
No,
number
you got
2,
you got
okay.
your jersey?
No.
No?
But remember, one thing he will have some value in as well. He knows Liam Cohen. He knows that Rams offense. So from a training camp perspective, OTA perspective, he's going to be invaluable helping to install the offense with the other receivers and running backs, things like that. So, all right. 26th pick. Again, I think offensive line, center in particular. I think Robert Hainsey by PFF was in the bottom 3 or 4 in the league as far as an effective center. I think center's a spot you're going to be looking at the bottom of that first round. 2 guys to keep an eye on: Graham Barton out of Duke, Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon. Both those guys are true centers. Obviously, with Ryan Jensen officially retired now, they could use an upgrade there. I think if you could get one of those 2 guys, you'd be happy. I think if one of the corners fall to them at 26, they'd be happy. Even if an edge rusher, a guy like Chop Robinson out of Penn State, a Latu, a couple guys like that you need in Todd Bowles' defense. You need that outside linebacker guy that can rush the passer. And we know that with Troyan Shoyinka not blossoming yet, Anthony Nelson's a good player, but he ain't an every down player. And Randy Gregory's a rotational guy. You need a threat on the outside as a pass rusher.
And I tell you right now, the more I read and the more I do research on this Latu kid from UCLA, the more I like. I think the red flag right now is the neck injury. You have the Peyton Manning neck injury. But 13 sacks last year, 21 and a half tackles for loss, 129 pressures in 25 games. A lot of people equating this kid to talent like a Bosa. He's got the bend, the Bosa brothers. So if he's anything like that, can't stop the run, still needs to bulk up there, but he will have that opportunity. He was 2 years away from football. What did he do to get him back in shape again? This is how crazy this kid is. He went to rugby. So he definitely wants it. That would be somebody if he happens to slip. Another guy that's being talked about right now, defensive tackle from Illinois, Johnny Newton.
You don't need a defensive tackle, though. You got enough defensive tackles.
I'm just
You don't.
saying, could you go with him? Could it be, a lot of
No.
people say Kalijah can't see lights. Is that somebody? Clearwater kid, 6'1", 300, can get after it. I don't think he's there. I think he's gone at 19 to the Rams because of Aaron Donald and his retirement. And then
Here's another guy. I don't think he'll be there, but if he were there around 20, I could see the Bucs potentially trading up, and that's Jared Verse out of Florida State. I don't think he'll be there, but if he were there at around 20, I could see the Bucs trading up, using that extra third-round pick to maybe go up 4 or 5 spots and try to get him.
Could be the cleanest prospect in this draft, of course, out of Florida State. We know this all too well. 18 sacks in the past 2 seasons for FSU. Came out of nowhere. Constant motor. He's got the body. He built up. I mean, the guy just gets after it. Could you imagine Jared Verse and Yaya Diaby on both sides? I don't know if it happens, but if it happens, boy, oh boy, if I'm Jason Light, I trade up. But Latu, Chop Robinson. The thing with Robinson that concerns me is I get it, he's an athletic freak, but where is that production on film? Where is that production at Penn State to warrant that first-round pick? And then with that being said, just knowing Jason Light's track record, instead of thinking he's going to trade up, what if he traded down? What if the value he thought was the same in the first round, a little bit in the second round? You picked up an extra pick here.
Wouldn't shock me one bit if he trades out of the first round, because one, it saves you a little money on the salary cap.
Right.
Probably going to get the same kind of player at 26, especially if the offensive linemen are gone. If you think maybe wide receiver at the top of the second round, you're going to have a plethora of guys to choose from. Probably one of the, especially depending on what happens with the quarterbacks, a DB or two might fall out of that first round. A guy like Chop Robinson might fall out of the first round. I mean, you never know. You could maybe get Chop Robinson top of the second round, save a bunch of money on the contract, and still get the same kind of player.
And let's say there's a quarterback on the board, not Michael Penix Jr., but let's say Bo Nix, and somebody wants to trade up. There could be a first round next year or an extra pick this year. Of course, you're not going to hang up the phone. You look at cornerbacks, Kool-Aid McKestry. Is that a guy that
injury history? He's got a foot injury kind of deal.
Cooper DeJean, is he a corner or is he a safety? He
certainly
seems like he could play both positions. That's right up the Bucs alleyway there with Bowles and using that versatility. And furthermore, he's a punt returner. So is that somebody that you value? Is that somebody that could possibly be there? Nate Wiggins from Clemson, another corner. I mean, you can go very.
I think corner is going to be an important part of this draft, because you lose Carlton Dean, you're not going to put all your marbles into Zion McCollum. I'm just saying, you're going to bring in competition for him. Yeah. You're going to bring in a top. I think the Bucs will take a corner in one of the first 2 rounds.
But it will be at 26. Are you a Kool-Aid man? Did you watch enough of him in Alabama to say
if he were to fall to them at 26, you'd have to seriously consider him, because with that pedigree from Alabama and a need that the Bucs have, depending on what the offensive line availability is of center guard there, I think he would be a serious consideration. If a guy like, remember, he's got a foot injury, but I mean, still, that'd be a guy you'd have to seriously consider. And the Bucs have shown they like to draft SEC corners. Dean and Davis were SEC guys. You can't ever have enough corners in this league. And I think you'll see the Bucs take a wide receiver in the first. They got 4 picks in the first 3 rounds. I think one of those 4 picks, late second, early third, I think you're going to see the Bucs try to draft a speed wide receiver. Keep your eye on a guy like Ricky Pearsall, guy that can run. I think it's going to be something. Again, you make a great point about the Ram offense. A Cooper Kupp kind of guy, Puka Nacua kind of guy who can potentially be the third receiver, maybe be the heir apparent to Chris Godwin if they may, God forbid something happen there at the end of this year. But that kind of guy in the Ram offense has always been very effective.
Let me throw this name out at you. Brian Thomas Jr. from LSU.
Not in the first round, though.
What if he's there at 26? You going to pass
Not
on
in the first round. No.
Wow. I don't know. If he's there.
I would take a guy like Xavier Worthy, a speedster from Texas, who a lot of people are talking about, ran like 4.28, 4.25 at the combine. If the Bucs draft a receiver in the first round, it's got to be a guy that can really run. I want a guy. Again, competition. You can't ever have enough receivers.
But see, for me, Thomas Jr. is the heir apparent to Mike Evans.
But Evans is going to be here 2 more years at least, and you don't want to. Yeah.
So
I'd rather take a need. I'd rather take a lineman or a plug-in lineman or a plug-in corner before taking Brian Thomas.
Fair enough. Just throwing it out there because
those are great. And don't think they aren't having these kind of conversations. What if so and so falls to us? What do we do?
And they're listening to the show right now, listening to the conversation.
Man. All right, second, third round. I think the Bucs are going to take a running back at some point as well. Maybe a fourth rounder, a guy like Ray Davis, who knows Cohen, a guy like maybe a guy like Trey Benson out of Florida State. That kind of guy, because you got to have a little juice as well to help with Rachaad White. Nothing against Chase Edmonds, but you need a little juice at that number 2 running back position. Don't be surprised if the Bucs take a running back third, fourth round as well.
You at least need 2 or 3 running backs in Davis because of knowing Cohen's offense. That could be, the leader in the clubhouse. He definitely showed something. He is a little bit up there in age.
But a lot of carries, a lot of wear and tear. But yeah.
Cedric Benson kind of comes to mind there, talking about draft history. How does that equate? I mean, Benson was not bad for a couple of years and eventually, but you don't need him to be your lead back. You just need the guy that's going to give, White a blow. So there you go.
Yeah, and quarterback, I think the Bucs will. It wouldn't shock me at all if they take a quarterback. If they don't if one of those, Penix doesn't maybe fall to them, I don't think he's going to get out of the first round. But fifth, sixth round, I think the Bucs are going to take a developmental quarterback because again, Sean McVay, Liam Cohen, quarterback guys. I think they're going to take a quarterback 5th, 6th round for sure.
Spencer Rattler, do you like that pick? We talked about this off air before. I think we talked about it on air before. A lot of potential, a lot of hype. Had some problems with throwing interceptions. A little bit inconsistent. Lots of expectations. Is that a guy you get value from in the 3rd or 4th round?
I don't know about the 3rd or 4th round. If he were there in like a Michael Pratt out of Tulane, maybe the 5th round, if he were to be there. Even Jordan Travis. Again, I don't think Travis is going to be drafted in the 3rd round. I think he's a 4th, 5th round kind of guy. Maybe he's your developmental guy coming off the broken ankle
guy because of the injury. Yeah,
right. So
it's all about. You're exactly right. It's all about value at the end of the day. My tag team partner in the world, Jason Powers. Yeah.
All right, Peter Blake. Tell the fans what you're going to be doing draft night, where they can find all your good work.
Well, actually, it's going to be before draft night. We're doing a Wednesday night fan mock draft where we are offering fans to be the general manager of your favorite team. You put in $10. You put in that $10. You get the pick right with your corresponding team. I buy you lunch. Maybe some wings. Maybe Jason Powers gets on.
You got some out. You're notorious for having alligator arms with that checkbook, man. You're buying people lunch, man, with them alligator arms you got over there.
Things are getting better, my friend. Things are getting better. More driving, more working than usual here. So, but yeah. The mock draft will start at 8 o'clock there on all the social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, the sports web. Go like and subscribe. And then on draft night, we'll be live again starting at 8 o'clock. So it's going to be a busy night, maybe even Friday night. I may go live like 4 or 5 times this week. When it comes to draft, I'm all about draft. Let me ask you really quick because I know we're running down. Favorite draft memory of all time when it comes to the Bucs?
Oh, man. I mean, obviously, if you go, I know you posted something on social media today about the famous draft of '95 with Sapp and Brooks. I think that's an all-timer for the Buccaneers. I mean, the year they got, we've had some draft moments now. I mean, I think again, that for me, that'd be the one because that produced 2 Hall of Famers.
Sure.
And I was a senior in college at the time, so I was in the heyday of. I played with Derrick Brooks at Florida State, so I had a personal touch with that. So that's the cool thing too. I would have to say that year.
Yeah, I think 97, just to be a little bit different. Warrick Dunn getting drafted, Riedel Anthony, but
Yep.
especially Warrick Dunn, staying up the night before with my father, couple hours doing all
Yep.
this, draft preparation and saying Warrick Dunn, possibly, could that be a guy? I loved him ever since he came out of college, Florida State, with the story of him
Yep.
taking care of his little sisters when his mom was shot on duty, and Shreveport. I like the fact of his moxie, his rookie year there at Florida, running for 75 yards for Florida State. So I would say 97.
All right, there you have it. 95, 97, two great draft memories and great draft production. All right, Peter Blake, JP Peterson Show, Monday through Friday, 10 to 12. I know
Yes.
you're part of that broadcast. Check out the Press Box Radio Show, pressboxradio.com, Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. online. I'm a part of that broadcast Tuesdays and Thursdays typically. I co-host. It's a show all over the Southeast. We talk all sports, all college football, baseball, all that good stuff. So check that out. No Quarter Given Podcast. If you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Go to the YouTube channel. I'll post the video here of our video chat here with Peter and I. Jason Power Sports Channel. No Quarter Given Podcast. Powers on Sports Podcast. The Sports Web. Plenty of areas to find all of our great content. And Buccaneer fans, Raymond James Stadium, Thursday night draft party. Go to Buccaneers.com for all the details, start times, cost, all that good stuff. Hopefully the Bucs will be picking 26. They could move up. They could move down. They could trade out. Who knows what's going to happen? But check it out. All the great stuff. Keep up the great work, Peter Blake. Appreciate you finding us. And again, let's go Bucs. Let's get another franchise player. Great draft last year with Cansey, Malk and company, Diaby. Let's back it up again, Jason Light. And kudos to the scouting department. And we'll see you next time on the No Quarter Given Podcast, part of the BuckPower.com podcast network. See you next time. Let's go Bucs. Draft them up, baby.
Go Bucs!